Welcome, everyone, to this week's episode. We really appreciate you joining us. This podcast is intended to help us learn, live, and thrive in our own personal context. By sharing knowledge through our conversations, we will impart some knowledge while learning ourselves how to progress even further. I'm your host, Dawn Jones. You can participate in this conversation with me by sending a voicemail through dawnjonespeaks.com and commenting on the episode after the show. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe. Let's have a conversation. Wow, we are in a new week already, and today's topic is about seizing the day and ordering our steps. Now, this is something I've had to try to master as I write, edit, and produce my own podcasts. Time management is a must, along with planning and being in tune with my audience. These things are not always easy. They require being intentional with my time and energy because I want to be consistent. For example, I know that I work best early in the day. And if I want to write an outline for the podcast, I intentionally plan to do it earlier in the day when my energy levels are high. Some of the other things can be done throughout the day, like creating social media content, etc. So, my number one tip to remember is that we are all given 24 hours in a day, and we have to make sure that it counts. Just the other day, I felt so tired. I sat back in my recliner and I was so proud of myself for getting so much accomplished. Then I began to make a mental note of what I had accomplished during the day and discovered I wasted the whole entire day. I had to reminisce to try to figure out just how that happened. And the culprit involved the news. I got caught up watching the news coverage of a very serious event. Yes, I was tired and exhausted mentally, emotionally, and physically, but it wasn't from accomplishing my own stuff. It was from the mental gymnastics brought on by watching the events of the day unfold on the news. It can happen to any of us. However, we want to acknowledge that it happens and try to eliminate as many of the instances of the severe distractions as we possibly can. And I want to help you seize the day and order your steps so that these things don't happen too terribly often. The next thing to recognize is that there is power in each day. Each day we have the same 24 hours as everyone else. What we do with that 24 hours is what separates the talkers from the doers. We can spend a lot of time talking about what we would like to do, praying about what we intend to do, making lists of things that we will need to have in order to accomplish what we want to do. But we might be short on actually doing what we say we're going to do. We can call that stalling. We can call it procrastinating. We can call it whatever we want to call it. But at the root of it all, there is a definite reason why we are not doing the work yet. In order to discover the truth, we have to dig deep. Are we afraid of success, or are we afraid of failure, or both? Whatever the root, it will pay off to figure it out and conquer it right away so that we can get moving. Let me give you a little motivation here by telling you a short story that appears in the book, How to Be Happy, Damn It, A Cynic's Guide to Spiritual Happiness by Karen Salmason and Don Zenzel. And it goes like this. There once was this criminal who had committed a crime because, hey, that's what criminals do. That's their job. Anyway, he was sent to the king for his punishment. The king told him he had a choice of two punishments. He could be hung by a rope or take what's behind the big, dark, scary, mysterious iron door. The criminal quickly decided on the rope. As the noose was being slipped on him, he turned to the king and asked, "By the way, out of curiosity, what's behind that door?" The king laughed and said, it's funny. I offer everyone the same choice, and nearly everyone picks the rope. "So," said the criminal, "tell me, what's behind the door?" "I mean, obviously, I won't tell anyone," he said, pointing to the noose around his neck. The king paused, then answered, "Freedom. But it seems most people are so afraid of the unknown that they immediately take the rope." Friends, we will never reach our true potential if we allow fear to run interference between what is in our power to do and getting the job done. A wise person once told me, "Every time you feel fear, take a step." I've been applying that philosophy to the accomplishments I want to make, and it has paid off. Each time I apply that principle, I get one step closer to the fulfillment of my goal. With each step I take in the 24 hours I'm given, I am doing the necessary work to achieve the desired outcome. The next thing we want to do is we have to plan for each day. And what I do is I get up early and I look at my to-do list. Yes, I make lists and keep a calendar for organizational purposes. The key here is not to get stuck making lists. I also look at my calendars to see what appointments I have scheduled for the day. Depending on what appointments I have, determines what I can fit in between each appointment. I shoot for streamlining the day. This means that if I need to run errands, I schedule those errands according to the location of my appointments so that I'm not running back and forth all over town. I also sync my meal prep, laundry, and other tasks into this streamlined approach. It helps to have a shell of a plan for the next day done the night before. For example, when I'm writing the outline for my podcast, I usually have the laundry or dishwasher going. When either one of them stops, I get a chance to take a break from all of the screen time and either fold clothes or empty the dishwasher. One person testified that he even has streamlined approach to when he answers emails and social media posts so that those things don't consume his day.
Do you have a message that the rest of the world should hear? Become a podcaster. Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast. Anchor gives you everything you need in one place for free, which you can use right from your smartphone or computer. Anchor's creation tools allow you to record and edit your podcast before publication, and they will even distribute your podcast for you. Get your message heard on popular media outlets such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. You can even make money, and there's no minimum listenership to qualify. Get started today by downloading the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
The next tip is that you can make it a point to get up early every day. I get up extra early every day so that I can get the day started in peace and quiet. The advantage to early in the morning is that no one is up, so therefore there's no noise outside or inside. This helps minimize distractions for me. I start the day with prayer and meditation while I drink a cup of coffee and a glass of water. I then try to get some of the inside stuff done before the stores and businesses open up. This way, I'm not tempted to go outside for anything. I've attended several seminars where highly successful people shared their secrets to success. And one thing all of the successful people tend to agree on is getting up early in the morning. I listened to Steve Harvey describe his morning routine on television once, and he stated that he starts his day early. Many, if not most, of the self help books that I've read on this topic have mentioned being an early riser. That is where I got the idea from. If you're not a morning person, I can imagine that this suggestion would be pretty hard. You have to ask yourself, how successful do I really want to be? Successful people are organized or have a staff that helps them stay organized. Early risers have an opportunity to do self reflection, review goals, and you have an opportunity to optimize the day for when you feel you're at your sharpest. For example, I work best in the morning, and by the end of the day, I'm tapped out. So the first part of my day, I need to get as much done as I can. The fourth tip is focus. What are you going to focus on for the day? What are you going to focus on for the next hour? What are your objectives for the day? Some of you may have to schedule time with your mate, your partner, schedule time with your family so that you can be very, very intentional about the time that you spend with your loved ones. Scheduling the important things mean that you can be fully present in the moment and you can keep your mind on the identified tasks. You can set goals each day and make lists and have a list for your chores and your errands so that everything is streamlined and you're not running all over the place. My fifth tip is to know when to take a break. We all need to rest, refuel, and recharge. And we are no good to anyone if we are depleted. Even a 10-minute power nap might give you a boost of energy throughout the day. The next tip I alluded to earlier, and that is to eliminate distractions. If you're easily distracted, you'll want to be very intentional about eliminating those distractions and time wasters. For me, television can be a huge distraction because if you really think about it, during television time, you're concentrating more on someone else's work and not your own. We don't want to be living someone else's dream. We want to live our own dreams. And so for me, I have to eliminate the distraction of television and movies. For other people, the cell phone, video games, or social activities might dominate too much of the day. Whatever is a distraction for you, you might consider putting a time limit on it and around it. I have my phone tell me how much time to spend with I have my phone tell me how much time I spend with productive activities, how much time was spent on social media, etc. If you really want to know how much time you're wasting, do a 24-hour time log. What you do is in a 24-hour time log is that every 30 minutes or so, you record what you're doing. And I do mine on an old-fashioned pen and paper. You can do it on your notes in your phone. But you just record what you're doing at that 30-minute juncture. And you do this for 24 hours. And if you do this 24 hours, you will be amazed at how much you're either getting done or how much time you've wasted on distractions. The last tip is reserved for the end of the day, and that is to review your day and plan for the next day. Waiters and waitresses might call this cashing out. At the end of the day, add up your receipts. What did you accomplish? What was left undone? What new tasks need to be created? This means you're making everything line up. You're setting everything in order for a fresh start for the next day. Let's call it your personal balance sheet. Anything that didn't get done today could be carried over onto your to-do list for tomorrow. There's a quote that says, so many people simply repeat the same mediocre days over and over, and mediocre days lead to a mediocre life. Are you getting the most from each day of your life? Do you have a plan for the day or for the week? What are you committed to accomplishing today? What time did you get up today? An amazing life is the result of amazing days. Winning your day means you're focused on activities that lead to accomplishing your goals. This qualifies as an amazing day. An amazing life can be yours, but you have to create it one day at a time. Well, that's all for today's episode of Dawn Jones Speaks. Thanks for listening. And don't forget to download and subscribe. Also, if you want to join in on this week's conversation, head on over to dawnjonespeaks.com, where you can leave us a voicemail, find links to our social media, listen to past episodes, and sign up for our newsletter. Talk with you next week.